Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's live invitation, the Happy Unlearner. So, I really wanted to come live and give you the invitation, but also give you some context to the invitation for today. So, what does it mean to be the Happy Unlearner? Well, in the Course in Miracles, there is a section called the Happy Learner. And what it tells us within that section is that we must be willing to give over all that binds us. So, all of these false beliefs we have about ourselves, all the false beliefs we have about the world, maybe other people, we must be joyfully willing to give those misperceptions, those beliefs over to spirit so that we can really receive the healing. Because spirit will heal it for us, but we must give every aspect of it over to spirit in order for us to really receive that beautiful healing that is guaranteed us because of what we are. And so, another thing that the Course talks about is that we've learned a lot of different things about ourselves. We've learned who we think we are. We've learned what we think we like. We've learned so many different things that we think are the truth of who we are. But we must be willing, like I said, to joyfully and happily give over those false beliefs that, we're just bodies, that we're just personalities, that we're just egos, that we are just victims, that we are, we were born bad luck, we're born black sheep. Any of those things, we must be willing to say, you know what? I don't want this anymore. I'm willing to give this false belief about myself over to spirit and do it happily. Now, why would you want to do this happily? Well, because you're being freed from the chains of oppression that have kept you down for so long. Maybe you want to, do wonderful things with your life, but because of this false belief you have about your quote unquote bad luck, you never tried because you were afraid that it was always going to crumble. Well, we can happily, you know what? Spirit, this isn't the way I want to live my life anymore. So I happily give this belief about myself being bad luck. I give that over to you so that I may receive the healing. And your job is so simple. It really is. All you have to do is be willing to give over every aspect of that. Maybe there's a story that goes along with it. And something that I spoke about in my live on my other group, my ACIM support group, was that I have this big fear of bees. Okay? Now, my big fear of bees comes from a past belief. It comes from a story. And the story is I was in my backyard at like 5 years old and, playing in our little kiddie pool. Well, I had stepped back onto a beehive without knowing it. It was just like on the floor or on the ground. And I had stepped back. The bees, of course, got very angry because I stepped on their home. And, they came up to defend themselves. And so I got stung 1, 2, 3, 4 times in the face before I ran into the pool and was like, wah, and then ran inside crying, sobbing, obviously swelling up and very painful. But I now have this belief that bees are just mean little creatures, which they're not. It's just my belief about them. So I have to be willing to joyfully give over that belief that, number one, the bees are separate from me because they're not. They are a projection of my mind. We're all one. We're all connected. So if I am saying that I reject this one aspect of all creation, then I'm saying that I am rejecting all of creation. I don't want to reject all of creation. I want to accept all of creation. And in accepting all of creation, I accept all of who I am. And in accepting all of who I am, I accept all the beautiful divine blessings that are given me. But because of this one thing, this one little small thing, and if you really think about it, it's very small. I've stopped myself from, really having every single blessing. And I'm not saying it's just that one thing. There are other things. That's just one thing that I can bring up that's very, that everyone can kind of understand. We've all had experiences like that. And you can do the same thing, with anything that has occurred to you. Giving it happily over to spirit and unlearning what you believe you are, unlearning what you think and think you know, and letting spirit really inform you. And that can be so terrifying. Don't get me wrong. To really look at those shadows that we have and those beliefs, it can be really scary. And the ego will freak out because it's saying, this is one of the building blocks, the core foundations of who I am. And now I'm looking at it, I'm giving that over to this power that I don't even know is going to have my best interests. A good majority of the time, the reason we don't want to give things over to spirit is because we believe if we give over this hurt, this chain that's kind of binding us, we believe that it's going to get worse. We actually really do believe that deep down inside, we believe it's going to get worse. I much rather suffer the chain that I know than the chain that I don't. And the beautiful thing is, spirit doesn't have any chains. It only has keys. And those keys are to unlock every false belief that you have. But we must do this work happily and joyfully. Yes, are you going to feel maybe some pain, maybe some discomfort? Yes, and that's okay. But know that you don't have to necessarily have that happen again and again and again. As we look at it, as we really do the work, and as we're willing to give it over to spirit more and more and more, it just becomes like this happy thing you do because it makes you happier. So let's really break those chains today. Let's really be the happy unlearners of all we think and all we think we are. And you can take something really small today. I'm not telling you to go into the depth of your being and find the core foundational thing that, stops you from being happy. But I am saying, look at least at one of those top bricks. Just one of those top bricks, and be willing to give that over. And the reason we start with something small is because something small seems a lot easier than something that we think is really big and really like massive. And oh my gosh, I can't give this up because it's the core foundation of who I think I am. We can just take one of those small ones, and then we start going down, and we start seeing that those small bricks that are at the top are actually the same small bricks that are at the bottom. It's just we had this bigger belief that they were bigger. So today is all about unlearning and being willing to do that, and being willing to happily give it over, every aspect. And if you don't think you can give over every aspect, give up as much as you can. And you can ask for that healing. Because a big thing in the spiritual community is to believe that you are the healer. We're not the healers. We never could be. We are the instruments through which healing can flow. But we ourselves are not the healers. We can invite the healing. But that's our job. And that's how easy it is to invite the healing, and do it with an open heart, an open mind, a joyful heart, a joyful mind. Because if you try to do it from any other place, then we're not really asking for what we want. We're still asking for what we don't. Think about those times when you have just been down on the ground and you're just like, I don't know what else to do. And you become super open. What do I do? I don't know what to do. And so you finally are willing to hand it over. And then you realize once you've handed it over, miraculous things begin to happen. It's because you were open. You let go of what you thought the situation should look like, or thought it should be, or anything like that. So I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being here. And I thank you for taking this beautiful step today to unlearn all that you think you are. And you're doing it willingly and happily.